Welcome to Big Little Stories. I'm Ivy Sharmitz. There are a lot of farms in New Jersey, but none as special and doing the type of life-changing and life-saving work as Allaire Community Farm in Wall. If you have never been there, I suggest you go. The farm is really one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. It rescues animals, and then those animals help the farm fulfill its mission to help children with special needs, teenagers with depression and anxiety, veterans who live with PTSD, and families dealing with a cancer diagnosis. It's an incredible place, and I'm so happy to have the farm's co-founder, JoAnn Burney, joining me now. Thank you so much for being here, JoAnn.
Happy to be here, Ivy.
So, JoAnn, full disclosure, you and I go way, way back. I first met you when I was a student at Rutgers, and you were one of the deans there, my favorite dean. So it might surprise people to learn that you went from this amazing career in higher education to running a farm. How did that happen?
Well, when we were together at Rutgers, you know that was I married yet at that point?
Yes,
I
you were
think I
just
was
gotten
married
married.
when I
Yes.
met you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I had just gotten married. Once my husband and I had, our kids, I worked with our first son. Remember, you guys used to take him, the guys used to take him. They said he was a chick magnet
Yeah.
over to the Bush campus on buses during orientation. And then when I had and I was working a little from home, a little at the office. And then once I had my daughter, it really became more difficult to drive up to New Brunswick from Howell. The traffic coming home was
Yeah.
crazy. Sean's business, we had started a real estate company, was doing quite well. And so, I made the decision to stay home with the kids and really focus all of my time and attention on them and making sure they got what they needed from me. So we started doing that, and I actually supported Sean in his real estate office for quite a while. But that lasted for about 5 or 6 years. And then when I saw the kids didn't need my attention as much on a daily basis, I wanted to get back into higher ed, truth be told, and started applying for jobs back at Rutgers because I loved it. I loved my career in higher ed, and didn't get a job, and kept applying for dean jobs, assistant dean, associate dean, director, assistant director. Last job was a administrative assistant at OCC, and I didn't get that either. And that was shocking to me because I was used to applying for jobs and getting them, and always did very well in higher ed. So I was feeling badly about myself, and my dear friend Kim, who's also on our advisory board, said to me, "Could it be that maybe God has other plans for you?"
Yes.
And I never thought of that, and it made me feel so bad, much better. And I was like, "Thank God, it's not me." And so, I started, looking into, something else that we could do. And my husband, at the same time I was looking to go into higher ed, he was looking to get out of investment real estate because it was 2008. And for those of you that don't know, that was a bad time in our country as far as the economy, as far as real estate. And so he did investment real estate. And so that kind of went away in New Jersey. So I said, why don't you go do something you have a passion for? And I was going to go get this job right away in higher ed. And so he did. He said, well, I either want to be an attorney or a farmer. Those were my two other careers. So I said, listen, you're too old to be an attorney. We don't have time for you to go to school. So, go find a farm. I'll go back into higher ed. I'll get the benefits, and I will, you go do your passion and have fun. You've supported us these years that I was home. So that was the plan. And Sean found a farm in Wall and was going to do hydroponic and aquaponic greenhouses.
He loves talking about that, by the way. I know he loves talking about those greenhouses.
Yeah, he still loves to talk about that. Yep. Our son, Rico, had gone on a mission trip and heard about this urban gardening phenomenon that was going on in the inner cities, and he came back and was really excited to share that with his dad. And so Sean's like, I could do that here, and we could
Wow.
feed the people in the community, and we could help people that are struggling, and which is, Sean Ivy, that's his heart, to
Yep.
give back.
Yep.
And so we started renting this farm, and at the time I was teaching kindergarten, more as a ministry than a job, because I think I was making 15,000 a year or something
Mm.
for being a teacher at a private school in where my kids attended. And so I had these built-in, kids that would enjoy our farm. Oh, and I forgot to mention, during the first winter we had the farm, um, the SPCA called up and said, there's these animals that are abused, and can you take them?
Wow.
And Sean and I don't like, we didn't think it out at the time, but we said, of course we'll take them. We didn't know what that meant. So we needed to build paddocks, run in sheds, buy feed, buy hay, research how to take care of those, a donkey, an alpaca, two goats, and two sheep. And
Wow.
so we rescued these animals, and my friends came and helped us build the paddocks. And, so then we had these animals, and they said, you have the animals, why don't you start having birthday parties or something to help you pay the bills for the farm? Because we were renting the farm for $6,000 or $7,000 a month. It was crazy.
Wow.
And we started having birthday parties. And what I noticed were these the children that had special needs, how they thrived with the animals. And the animals for us were kind of skittish and standoffish, but for the kids with special needs, they were calm and
Mm.
gentle. It was a beautiful thing. And I like to tell the story of, I opened up the farm one day to all families with special needs. We said, just come, enjoy it. And we're having a special needs event. And I still have him, Lucky, our dog. He's going to be 15. um and I was walking by, and there was a little boy that was petting Lucky. And I walked by and I said, his name's Lucky. And the little boy said, Lucky. And I said, that's right. And I kept going. And the mother started to cry. And I
Mm.
turned around. I thought, did Lucky bite him? Like, what? Why are you crying? And she said, he's never spoken before. And I said, oh my goodness. Like, I couldn't believe the impact of that, just that
Yeah.
petting Lucky had on this young man. And anyway, we at that time we had rescued more animals, so we had pony rides. And the little boy was in the riding arena, and we had letters all over for dressage, for riding. And he was calling out the letters A, B, C, D.
Wow.
This was a kid that until that day never spoke. And so mom was crying again on, watching her son do this.
Yeah.
And it was just such an impactful day. And from that day on, um, people said to us, a dear friend of mine said, you really need to become a 501(c)(3) so you can raise money and do this for a living. So that's kind of how it was born. Um, the animal rescue, we never thought about it. We just did it because we love animals. And then the special needs happened um, because of that Saturday afternoon that we opened the farm up to people with special needs and their kids.
So, but
So that's
every
kind of how that happened.
every part of how you got here was um, feels like it was part of the. It was fated to be that way. You didn't get the job in higher
Yes,
ed. You rented the
right.
farm. You started rescuing animals. The little boy, said Lucky. I know that faith is a very big part of your life, and a big part
Mhm.
of the love that you put into the farm. How has your faith kind of led you on this journey?
Well, I, I just feel like, we're all put on this world for a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And, our life, scripture says our life is a vapor, a blink of an eye. That's how quick it goes by.
Mm.
And I want to live my life in such a way that when I'm no longer here, people will remember my impact on this. Like I don't want to live a life that only benefits me. And so I've always felt that way. I think everybody should make a living, and I have no problem with nice homes and nice cars and all that. But I do think that myself, as someone who's a person of faith, is responsible to give back, because
Mm,
that's what we're told to do. We're told to, love our neighbor as we would love ourselves. And so, Sean and I have always wanted to do that, and we've always tried to do that, even in our careers. Like, Sean would do pro bono work.
right.
We've always instilled volunteerism on our children. Our son got volunteer the award for Howell High
Yep.
School for the most hours, but that's just because giving back is good for the soul. You know that, Ivy. You
Yeah.
do it all the time. You believe this the same thing I do, even though we come from different faith backgrounds. That we're on this earth to help others, and to make it a better place, right?
Yeah.
So
We
faith
hope.
has led us. God is good, and although, without going into too much details, we've had trials and struggles with you know both of our children, with our neighbors suing us, and we have gotten through the other side stronger and more committed than before we went in. And again, my faith teaches me that we go through trials so that we can encourage others when they're struggling in the same way we struggled, and we can say, you can do this, you can get through this, you're gonna be okay. So yeah, um that's kind of how I try to live my life, in focus to my faith.
And you do it so beautifully, and you are certainly a person who you live with your faith out loud, which one of the things I
Yeah.
just absolutely love about you. We're going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the mission of the farm and why
Mhm.
community is such a big part of that. We'll be right back. So, JoAnn, what would you say is the mission of the farm? I know the farm does so much great work, and I talked a little bit about the mission statement when I introduced you, but
Mhm.
how do you define the mission of the farm?
Well, our tagline is Allaire Community Farm, we nurture through nature. And so, some people come here because they love animals. Some people come here because they love to be around, the gardens and the earth, and the grass and all of that. Um, and some people could come here just because when you step onto this property, there's a peace that comes over you. People feel it when they come here. And I truly believe that that's because this farm is divinely inspired. You know, People say it all the time. It's my happy place.
Yeah.
And our mission is we use those our rescued animals, and right now we have over 300, and we use them to work with the populations we serve, and we focus on aged out, 21 and older, special needs young adults. And we have multiple programs for them during the day. We have a hope program, which is stands for harvesting occupational and personal excellence. It's a pre-employment job training program, so that it's a 2-year program. Once they go through that, they will learn how to become good employees. They're not necessarily going to be learn how to work on a farm or work, in a market. They're going to learn what's required of them as far as social skills, as far as commitment, as far as work ethic, so that we can then either hire them ourselves, or they can go and work with one of our partners that we partner with, that will hire them once they graduate our program. We have a second program for those with special needs, called the SMART program, and that's more for a person with special needs that's never going to be able to hold down a job on their own. They're not going to be able to work independently, but they love the animals, they love the farm environment, they love the people that we employ. And we try very hard to recruit the best skills counselors, social workers, OTs, speech therapists. We try to pay them a little bit more than everybody else pays them, so we get the best. And the families and guardians love the people that we employ. So those programs are pretty much sold out every semester.
Wow.
So that's our special needs programs. Our programs for our at-risk teens. When I say at-risk teens, I mean teens that suffer with anxiety, depression, self-harming, social awkwardness,
Yeah.
bullying, things like that. We are at epidemic proportions in this country now with that going on. So what I do with those young people, can I tell you how we got to the
Yes,
special
please.
working with the at-risk, Heidi? Okay,
I love the story.
Heidi, this is this is how that became the second pillar of our nonprofit, which again happens just happened on us. I was working at the old farm. We used to rent, before we bought this property. I was having a very bad day. Told my husband I was done farming and I wanted to go back and work in an office and wear nice clothes. And he said, "Listen, Joe, if go today, if you don't have a good day, you don't have to help me anymore, and you can go find back into your career." And I said, "Okay." And I was in the petting zoo with my animals, and the public was visiting us. And this woman came up to me and she said, "JoAnn, you're doing good work. JoAnn, keep it up. JoAnn, don't quit." And it was, I don't even recall ever telling this woman my name, but I felt like she was sent there to encourage me, that
Mm.
she was a special angel sent there to encourage me, because that's how I felt every time she said my name. And she said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." She goes, "Would you consider working with teens that are at risk?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess so." And she goes, "Because really believe if my son had a place like this to come to, he wouldn't have put a gun to his head."
Wow.
And with that, I said, "Absolutely. Whatever I can do to help. If I can help a young person, you know, not end their life
Yeah.
or to feel better about themselves and feel more empowered and help them meet their potential, I'm all about that." So that's how that started. And so the second pillar of our farm is we work with at-risk teens. And the way we work with them is I have a stipend that I get from a wonderful nonprofit out of New York City, and their executive director lives here in Wall, and they give me funds every year to provide jobs for these young people. So it's a paid, it's kind of like a paid volunteer
Yep.
where they work at their pace. If they have social anxiety, I put them with the animals. I put them in the gardens. I'm not going to put them in the market where they're going to be freaked out by the public.
Right.
But we work with them. We build their confidence. We make them, you know, start to feel better about themselves, start to learn how to interact with the public, and before you know it, these kids are soaring. And you saw all those young people working at the dinner that you attended last night were all my at-risk teens. And I was so proud of them, and they're doing such a great job. But these young people go from being struggling, can't make eye contact,
Yeah.
won't look you in the eye. Lots of them have tons of anger, to being my future student leaders of the farm. So
You know,
that's kind of how that works.
and there's something also, and I know you've said this, and I've heard it from people at the farm also, that when they come to the farm, especially parents, when they come to the farm, they get to exhale a little bit, and they can they put their shoulders down because they know they're in a place where everyone feels welcomed, and no one is kind of singled out for being different or acting differently or having different needs, and just that sense of everyone is welcome here and everyone belongs here is such a beautiful way for the farm to be spoken about in the public.
Yeah. And my husband and I are passionate about that we will not hang a flag, put a political, thing in the ground.
Yeah.
It's like we are Switzerland here. We
Yeah,
are,
you are.
whoever wants to come here is welcome.
Yeah.
And I don't care, what your political background is, your religious beliefs or non-beliefs, or whatever community you belong to, or whatever, however you want to express yourself. I don't care.
Yeah.
You just come here and you relax and you enjoy the animals and you enjoy the farm. And I'm passionate about every single person that walks onto this property. I want them to be seen and heard. I want them to be welcomed when they walk through the door. And that want them to leave here feeling better than when they first walk through the door. So that's something we really stress here, that if someone leaves and they've had a bad experience, we've failed.
Yeah.
And what the mission of the farm is.
And
So
and I know part of that also, JoAnn, I know it was very important to you when you were naming the farm to keep the word community in
yes.
that name also. Why was that so important to you?
Well, Sean and I argued about this a lot, and he's like, "It's too long. You got to write out an email and all this. It's too long, Joe." And I'm like, "Without the community, we're never going to be able to do this, honey." I just knew in my spirit
Yeah.
that if this was going to take an army of people if we were going to ever be successful at it. Just Sean and I muscling through it, we weren't going to do it. We needed the community. We needed, young people, old people. We have a ton of now recently retired volunteers that work at the farm. My dad is 87.
Mm-hmm.
He works here, 4 days a week. We have local high schools coming in. We have Rotary clubs coming in. I mean, the community just embraces. Because listen, if you don't care about animals, special needs, kids, at-risk teens, or veterans with PTSD, or families that are struggling with cancer, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
And so, there's
Right.
something here for everybody to, get involved in and give back to. So, let's say your thing isn't animals. There's a lot of people that volunteer that are afraid of animals, but they love to work in the gardens, or people that don't want to be in the front of things, but they'll come on a Sunday morning and help me do the food baskets, when there's nobody else except me and Sean. So that's kind of why this place works, because the community is involved in every facet of the farm, every facet.
And I will also say firsthand, it also works because of the love that you and Sean put into every aspect of what you do at the farm, and it shows. And I think that's one of the reasons why people respond so beautifully to it. It's really a wonderful place. I could talk to you about this for hours. We like to end each one of these conversations with 3 big little questions. We'll do it rapid fire. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, JoAnn. How do you get yourself out of a bad mood?
I think about what's right in my life, not what's wrong.
Is that easy to do?
Yeah, my husband taught me when I first got married to always have an attitude of gratitude. So wake up in the morning and do a thankful list. So, that's kind of how we live our life. So I can thank him for that.
I love that. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Sweet Caroline.
Wow, that's a popular choice. And then other than the farm, what is one of your favorite spots in New Jersey?
Oh, I'm a beach person.
There you are. Yeah.
Anytime I'm not at the farm, I am at the beach. You'll find me sneaking out. In the summer, my beach chair is always in the back, and in 5 minutes, I'm at the beach. So if I see the tanning index go, I'm out the door.
There you are.
So.
JoAnn, Burney, thank you so much for having this conversation with me and sharing a little bit of life at the farm, and just for all of the amazing work that you do. I am honored to always call you my friend for so many years. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ivy. And thank you for all you do for the farm.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You're a gem.
I appreciate that. And that'll do it for Big Little Stories for this week. I'm Ivy Sharmatz. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.